Food supply and consumption survey. In every community, in every household, and even every human being, food is very important. Food is necessary. And the supply is important because if it's not adequate, then people will become malnourished. And even if the food is available and people don't consume them correctly, they will still have malnourishment, which can either be undernutrition or overnutrition. So this is what we want to learn in nutrition in this course, whether in PPC or MCH. I just want you to tune your mind when you see me in your class that we're discussing nutrition, and you shouldn't be too concerned which particular unit that lecture belongs to. So the important thing is that over the next few weeks, you understand nutrition. And if you have that understanding, it's going to help you now and in the future. So the first thing when we start talking about food and nutrition is to talk about food itself. Food is any substance which, when ingested, provides necessary raw materials for the structure and functions of life, so that those materials are available for the body to carry out its functions. But the word nutrition refers to the science of food, their actions, interactions, and balance in relation to health and disease. So that means food is something physical, the substance that you can see. When you go to the market and you buy rice, beans, potato, yam, that is food. But the science of how this food works in the body, how the different kinds of food interact with one another, and how food can cause health or disease, that science is what we refer to as nutrition. So when people ingest food correctly, they are well nourished. But if they don't eat enough, that would be undernutrition. And if they consume too much, that is overnutrition. So the extreme is severe undernutrition, which will be followed by moderate, then mild. Then the middle that is desirable is normal nutrition. And the other side of the spectrum would be overnutrition. And then at the extreme end on the right would be obese, for those who consume excess calories. That would be obese. And in fact, you can also have severe obesity as well as morbid obesity. So this is it's important to understand this concept that food is a determinant of health. Food is a determinant of health. And the extremes are referred to, the extreme of the nutritional status that result from whether under or over consumption is what we refer to as malnutrition. So from what I've explained, malnutrition can be undernutrition, can be overnutrition, can be obesity. It can even be micronutrient deficiency, because the type of malnutrition would depend on the particular nutrient that is deficient or in excess. So if what is deficient is a micronutrient, then you are dealing with micronutrient deficiency. Occasionally, some micronutrients can also be consumed in excess and cause maybe hypervitaminosis or lead to hypertension, as the case is with sodium. So this spectrum of nutritional status from severe to moderate, the mild, under, normal, overweight, obesity, morbid obesity, is what you need to understand and master, because the whole spectrum is important. The extremes are important. But what is desirable is the normal nutritional status. Now, having said that, in developing countries like Nigeria or Ghana or any other developing countries, undernutrition is still the prevalent type of malnutrition. So no matter how many obese people you see in Lekki, Lagos, Accra, Nairobi, when you think of other parts of the country, the hinterlands, the villages, many of the children are still undernourished. So don't be deceived that you are seeing many people who are obese, assuming that obesity is now a more important problem. No. Undernutrition is still the prevalent type of malnutrition in tropical developing countries. What are the causes of this undernutrition? What leads to it? If the development in a country is low, they don't have enough access to adequate food, the infrastructures are poor, the economic situation is poor, the GDP is low, those factors contribute to undernutrition, because the food that is available to the populace is limited, and in many cases, it's not the overall amount that is the problem, but the distribution. So you find out that the wealthy people in these countries have more than enough to eat, whereas there are some people that don't have enough. So the distribution is poor. So looking at the problems that cause undernutrition, they are multiple and they are socioeconomic. The first one is food production. Many people are not interested in farming. They want the white or blue collar jobs. So that leaves just a few peasant farmers to food production. Although I understand that many young people are getting interested in farming now, because the government in some states are making efforts to ensure that their products are sold. And what everybody wants is money. So if there is a system that can allow, that can enable people, maybe with large equipment, aid them with mechanized farming, and after the products are ready, buy them off so that they can concentrate on their core farming and make enough money, I suppose more people will get interested. But as at now, the food production is still behind the need. The next one is food distribution. Like I said, it's not properly distributed. Some have excess, some don't have enough. Preservation is also poor. After the farmers have produced these foods, many of them are seasonal. The food crops are seasonal. They can get spoiled easily, and they don't have adequate facilities for preserving them. So the food gets spoiled. Or on the other hand, they sell at very cheap prices. May not give them enough returns for their investment. They sell at cheap prices because they don't want them to get spoiled, so they just sell them off. We don't have adequate facilities for preservation and processing. The other problem is ignorance and lack of education, especially mothers' education. So when the people who are in charge of food preparation are ignorant and are not well educated, many nutrients are lost in the process of preparing food. Many people don't know the correct way to combine food. And even though the farmers have made a lot of effort to produce them, the distribution has occurred, people have the food with them, they are preserved. With that ignorance, they prepare them poorly and have less access to the important nutrients. So that means there may be food, but the nutrition is still poor because they're not properly used. That's what we refer to as food use. Poverty is a big problem because it affects all of this. If people are poor, even if the food is available, they will not be able to purchase it. And when people don't have the purchasing power, that is called lack of access. So I'd like you to note that word from today, that when people don't have purchasing power is no accessibility. So when food is not available, we say there's no availability. So I hope you get the difference. Food availability refers to the physical food being, I'm trying to get another word so that I don't use the word available. When the food, you can see the food, maybe someone who lives in a certain place where food is being sold in front of her house, right there, the food is there. You can see it physically. That is availability. People have produced it, the farmers have produced it. That is availability. If it's being sold in front of a woman's house, but she doesn't have money to buy it, that means she does not have accessibility. She has availability, but there's no accessibility. Those two words are very important, and I'm very sure you'll be tested on them someday. So, insufficient household food security. So, this is a concept in which food is available in the household, it's accessible, they bought it, it's right there in the house, but it might not be enough for all the members of the household to live a normal life and be productive. Uh, it might also not be the kind of food they want to eat. So if I have rice, spaghetti, indomie in my house, and I have a grandma around, as far as that woman is concerned, she's not food secure because she's not interested in eating rice, spaghetti, and noodles. So food security is very important. People have the food is available, they have access to it, and it's the kind of food that is acceptable to them. So that's acceptability, dealing with what they want. Then inadequate dietary intake. The food is available, but people are not eating enough. For whatever reason, they may not be eating enough. Maybe due to illness, or for children, some of them are restless. They just don't settle down to eat enough. That's inadequate dietary intake. In some situations, especially children, the environment is dirty. The environment in which the food is prepared is not healthy. It's not clean. It's not hygienic. So that means the food can be contaminated. Those children may have infections. So in such a situation, when there is infection, the nutritional status will still be poor even though there is food. They eat the food, it has passed the level of availability, accessibility, acceptability. They've eaten the food, but because of the infection, the appetite may be low, they will not eat enough. The one that has been taken, because of the lining of the digestive tract that is not optimal, it will not be well digested. The ones that if it's even digested will not be well absorbed. And the one that is absorbed, the infection, because of the fever that is associated with it, will waste the nutrients, waste the calories. Because part of the calories will be burnt to support the fever. So the calorie is wasted, the energy is wasted. Another issue is large families. So because in this part of the world, many people still have more children than they can actually take care of. So when people have large families and they don't have enough resources to take care of these children, and other people joining, some even go beyond having more than 3, 4 children and then adopt other people, family members to stay with them. And that jeopardizes the health of their children because the little food that should be given to 2 people is shared among 6. Chronic illnesses is another problem. So some people that have diabetes, HIV, cancer, and some other chronic diseases, those diseases waste energy. That's why they are called wasting diseases. Some climes, they have food restrictions and taboos. Some people would say in their community, nobody should eat certain kind of animals. Nobody should eat snail. And that will limit the amount of protein that will be accessible to such people. The amount of protein is very important. So that can also affect their nutritional status. Then the national food production is what we're talking about now. Let's take Nigeria as a case study. There is decline in food production in developing countries generally, one of which is Nigeria. So the issue is that only a fraction of the required food is produced. So you need to be aware of this because many of you may be from higher socioeconomic background. Since you were born, you've always had food to eat. So I can imagine if I'm talking to my children now that food is scarce, they don't even understand what I'm talking about. Because when they were growing up, I used to beg them to eat. But you need to know that in many parts of this country, people don't have enough food because the production is not enough. So this is just like an explanation of what we discussed earlier on, that there's rural-urban migration. The people are moving to the cities. They want white or blue-collar jobs. There is also disappearance of arable lands. Lands that should be used for agric is being built up or used for commercial purposes. Then, of course, our population growth is a problem nationally. So even though people are producing food, the rate at which we are increasing is not meeting up with the rate of production. So talking about preservation, There is severe losses in food produced by farmers because of poor storage, processing, and preservation. Food shortages are more common during planting seasons because planting seasons, the food available is less at that time compared to harvest season. So people just adapt to it. They eat less and then plant. When the food is abundant in harvest season, then they eat more. So you can imagine that during that planting season, the children might be undernourished, they might suffer undernutrition. So because perishable foods cannot be preserved and stored for long periods, people just consume them in excess or sell them off, and then during planting season, they face shortages. And because of this poor preservation, it can change the composition of food and their nutrients. Many fruits and vegetables lose a lot of vitamins and minerals in the process of poor preservation. So we are training to become doctors, and you need to think like a doctor. So as doctors, what can we do to enhance better nutrition? Now that we know the challenges we face, and we're concerned about the nutritional status of our people, we can give advice on schemes that can improve food production at national and family levels. Since we know that at the national level, we're not even producing enough, we can advise people to plant vegetables in their garden, plant pepper, tomato. These are simple things people can plant, and then they can use the little funds available for those things they cannot plant and eat from their garden. We can also encourage consumption of a wide variety of foods. So people have poor nutritional status sometimes because they limit themselves to just a few kinds of food. If I ask you now, most of you, your diet is rice, noodles, spaghetti, bread, shawarma, and many of you have not eaten yam in many weeks. So it's not good. People should eat a wide variety of foods. Eat from all the food groups, and even within a food group, eat different kinds of variety. So from what I've said earlier, as doctors, we have a role. We can also promote family planning so that the population growth will be slower, and then we can educate people on nutrition. If you go to my YouTube channel, you see a lot of videos on nutrition that I educate people regularly on nutrition. So you should also think of that. I'm looking for more people to join me in nutrition. What can the government do to enhance nutrition? The government needs to form policy that will increase food production and distribution. I just gave you an example of Ekiti state government has a very big expanse of land where young people are encouraged to farm. They give them internet, give them access to different facilities so that they are comfortable in that farmland. They produce, and they even buy them off them so that they just get their money without sweat. So more government, I mean, more state government and even federal government need to have policies such policies and programs that will increase food production, improve the distribution. They can also give these farmers fertilizers, teach them irrigation methods, use of pesticides and herbicides in fish farming, help them with mechanized farming, because many of them cannot afford the the cost of mechanized farming. They cannot afford it alone. Can also help them to organize themselves into cooperative societies so that they can pull funds together to purchase machines and tractors and all the equipments needed to practice mechanized farming. Improve methods of food storage. The government can also encourage that by making silos available and things like that. Support family planning organization to control the population. So the government has a role to play. So having talked about food and a bit of nutrition, the next thing I want to introduce to you is food consumption survey. So if we want to know the situation of a group of people, are they eating correctly? The food they eat, is it translating to good nutritional status? If you want to find out, what we do is called survey. It's an attempt to record the diet of a population or individuals in terms of different parts. For children, in terms of pattern of breastfeeding, you want to find out in this community, do they practice exclusive breastfeeding? How long do they breastfeed? When do they stop? All those things are very important. It's also good to find out the pattern of feeding, even young children, feeding infants and young children. What is the pattern? Do they practice good complementary feeding? Because these things are very important and they are determinants of the nutritional status, right from age zero to the grave. Pattern of feeding is very important. Then it's a good idea to find out the family food budget. If a family of 4 budgets just 100,000 for food in a month, you know that definitely those children in that family will suffer, because even you as one student, many of you may have pocket money above 100,000 in a month. So imagine, and there are many families like that. They cannot budget more than 100,000 for food. So when you find out, some of you might have drafted a topic that is around food or dietary pattern, and you have a question that you must have a question that will deal with the income of the respondent. So maybe it's a good idea to also ask them another question: how much do you budget for food? And you'll be surprised. Some people don't have any budget for food. Whatever is available, they just buy rice, buy beans, and then just fold their arms, believing that something will just happen and they'll be able to eat next week. Many people don't budget for food. And those who budget, the budget might be very low, like the example I gave. Mother's knowledge of food sources and preparation matters a lot. Like I said earlier on, this is what we call food use. So it's good to also find out in that survey what's their knowledge about food, the sources, the preparation, and if possible, how it's used. This food consumption survey is important to gain insight into the food consumption pattern. That's what we also call dietary pattern or dietary habits. It's also a good idea to predict problems, to design a nutritional education program. So if for any reason someone wants to design a nutrition education program, I remember my last research was on effect of online nutrition education on weight control, body image, so that eating, physical activities. So I had to give them, I have to give the participants nutrition education. So to design that kind of education program, I had to do a consumption survey. I had, first of all, did a survey amongst the students, analyzed, got my results. Then with that, I designed the nutrition education program. Because without that initial survey, you will not even know what the problem is. What do they know? What don't they know? What are they practicing that needs to be addressed so that they can have better nutritional status? So this particular study that I'm using as a case study was done among students in University of Lagos and Lagos State University. And you'll be surprised that many people, including students in your university, don't eat right. Are you surprised? Maybe you are not surprised. So I had to use the results of that survey to design a nutrition education program for them, and that was done over 3 months to educate them on the right way to live. And after the education, I went back to the field. I did another survey, and it showed that there was improvement. So that's what we mean by food consumption survey is important to design a nutrition education program. So it's also important to check the progress of that program and the impact of the intervention. So my intervention was very impactful. Many of them stopped the bad things they were doing, like drinking alcohol, managing their weight with fasting, managing their weight with skipping food, and some other wrong things. So this survey is also important to plan future actions. So if there's anything you want to plan for a group of people, ensure that a survey comes first. So what are the different methods of dietary survey? The first one is food frequency questionnaire. That means you have a standard questionnaire with several questions. For example, Nigeria has its own food frequency questionnaire. Maybe other countries have their own. So if you want to conduct this research and you are interested in food consumption survey, then you find out the Nigerian food frequency questionnaire. You may need to adapt it to your own study because the original version, for example, does not have noodles. So if your studies are amongst undergraduates, you will need to modify it and add spaghetti and noodles. This method is very good. It's useful for a large number of people. Uh, you can see an example of this food frequency questionnaire. I'm just showing you a segment of it. It's a long questionnaire, has different food groups and food items under them. So the first food group you see there is cereal or grains. So that group, there are many foods under that group, like rice, meat, corn, oats, and others. So, and then you see the way you feel it. There are three columns. The first column, if a particular food item is eaten less than once a week, then you tick yes. But if it's eaten every week, in the second column, you write the number of days. For example, most of you eat rice every day. So many people's answer when they fill this form, when you are doing this survey, many people will fill 7 in front of rice. And for corn, nobody is eating it every week. So you just put yes under less than once a week. And for foods like pap, you are not too sure what the answer will be. For processed cereals, some people eat it more than once a day. So you go to the third column, you fill yes, more than once a day. Second column, you fill 7 under number of days per week. So that's how to navigate this food frequency questionnaire. The next one is 24 hours diet recall. This is another method. And what is expected in this method is that you would go to each person, each participant or respondents in your survey, and you inform them ahead that you want to come for such a survey and you're going to be asking them about the food they eat. So this in this 24 hours dietary call demands that you inform people ahead. And then you go with the protocol sheets, write the day of the week, because most of the time what we do is to take the data 2 days, collect the data over to the one day is a weekday, the other one will be weekend. You now find the average. Because weekday, some people may not have enough time to even settle down and eat well. But weekend, some people may eat too much. So it will be necessary to find an average to be very sure of what is going into such a person and what the average will be. And then when you come to the people that you want to interview for 24 hours dietary call, you tell them that you like to ask everything they ate or drank between yesterday morning and this morning. Even if you are getting there at 2 p.m., don't ask them what they ate between 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. today. We want to make it standard for all the respondents, everybody, from yesterday morning till this morning, what did you eat? Then you get all the foods, get all the drinks. Don't call it breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Just ask for foods. What did you eat? What did you eat? And keep recording all the foods taken on waking up and all the foods taken during the day, even after the person has slept, what he or she took with the food, any drink taken at night. Those things are very important. Then the next method is observe food consumption. This is very noble, but very clumsy. You need to go to the home of the participants, and definitely you must inform them ahead because you want to weigh the food they are eating directly. Go with your weighing scale. When they are ready to cook, tell them to feel free to cook what they normally want to cook. You can weigh the raw foods and go to your desk to interpret it. And you can choose to weigh the cooked foods. After they've cooked their food, they are ready to eat. You weigh it. See that that is a bit clumsy. You can also weigh the one that is to be wasted or discarded and do your calculation. Duration can be 1 to 21 days, but usually 7 days. Not really acceptable to people. This method, they don't like it. But it's like the most accurate because you are seeing the exact thing they are eating. It's not a matter of them telling you what they think you should hear or you want to hear. So that's the methods. Then after collecting the data, you need to translate it into mean intake. How do you translate all the data into mean intake? That's very important. So you need to calculate the weight equivalent of each food item and record it. Use diet software or food composition table to convert the food items to the nutrient components. Okay. So I don't expect you to be able to do this at undergraduate level, but it's good to know that after we've gone to the field and we've collected data on the food that people eat, it doesn't stop there. We'll come back to our desktop and use software or food composition table to convert it to nutrients. Always remember that as professionals, health professionals, what we're interested in is the nutritional status of the people, not just the food. So we need to convert it to the nutrients and find out. After adding up all the nutrients together, compare the mean nutrient intake to standards that is expected for age and sex. So then you will know if there's a nutritional problem. Some people eat, they think they're eating well, but it's less than what is expected for their age and their sex. Does anybody have any question before I conclude this topic? Any question before I conclude? Any question? Okay. Malnutrition is a wide spectrum. Like I've explained, when people don't eat well or they're not consuming the food in proper amounts that is expected to be combined, or they're not eating enough foods that will supply micronutrients, it will result in malnutrition. And this malnutrition can be undernutrition, can be overnutrition, obesity, it can also be micronutrient deficiencies. Undernutrition causes several other problems, including growth retardation, poor cognition, especially amongst children and adolescents, and poor productivity in all age groups. Even adults suffer from poor productivity if they are malnourished. Overweight and obesity, which is at the extreme right of the spectrum, can also lead to non-communicable diseases. This concept is very important, and please ensure that in this course, you master this. And there's a link between overweight, obesity, and non-communicable diseases, and you should be on top of it. For this problem to be solved, this malnutrition problem, we need multi-sectoral approach. Individuals need to be involved, need to monitor what they eat, they need to understand and eat right. The communities need to be involved, the healthcare professionals, healthcare workers, government, everybody needs to be involved to ensure that food is adequate, people have access, and the nutritional status is optimal. Thank you for joining, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow in class. Bye.